going through it. The feedback that I was looking for, I got it. And I must say that you all did very well. And thank you so much. Thank you very much. Okay. For this week or for today, we are going to look at basics for administration. Basics for administration. But I want us to do a little recap of what we did when we met last Tuesday. In brief, tell me what you heard. Tell me when you went back home, reflecting on all that we did, some conclusions that you reached. Briefly, tell me what you heard. Marima.
Yeah, Papa, thank you. But I was so much amused with the reading Exodus 18, 21 to 27. One Jethro actually advised Moses to get a delegation, people who are trustworthy, people who are competent, so he can share responsibilities with them. So in fact, it challenged me, and I think I even asked a question that day regarding delegating the elderly and then the youth. And you explained to us that yes, there should be that combination, that coexistence with the elderly and then the youth, so that we can work together. So it has become a very strong force in my mind, and I keep on reflecting on it, that we have to work together, the youth, the elderly, to make sure that the work of God will move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I want to hear from one more person, one of you, before we can move on. I can see your buyer. Please, let me hear from you. Andy, are you ready to tell us something?
Due to my work schedule last week, I wasn't able to join.
Yeah. Then I remember Isaiah was here.
Yeah, I think last week we discussed a lot how is we need to manage every resources that we have, and how we need to manage every resources that we have in the church. We have to take care of the resources such as human resource, talking about properties and all those things in the church have to be well managed. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. As I said, the feedback I got of the assignment that you presented, I was so much encouraged. I was moved, and we are on course. So, as I've already said, we are going to look at some basis for administration. But don't forget that when it comes to management, we look at the burden of blending the spiritual aspect of the church with some other aspects, where you look at the resources that you have, the physical, financial, how you are able to blend all these things so that you can achieve your objectives. Because doing some of the important things in the church, praying, studying the word of God, they are all important. But you have some bills also to pay, because you worship in a sanctuary. So how are you going to blend all these things? How are you going to manage? See to it that You have a place where you worship. You have a place where you go to pray. You have a place where you go and study the word of God. So the burden of seeing to it that all these things come together are well blended in a way where you are able to achieve your objectives. It becomes your responsibility as a leader when it comes to managing things in the church. I hope this is clear. Good. But as we mentioned the other time, there are some truths or some facts that we need to also be conversant with when it comes to church administration. There must always be some semblance of organization. You look at the church from this perspective, you are managing or leading it, you look at it as an organization. So when I was reading your assignment, you did so well, because without this outlook, without this mindset, things are not going to be administered or handled in an orderly way. So all the time you must have this mindset that the church too is an organization, and it is a faith-based organization. With this mindset, you will be able to apply the skills that you need as you think about managing an organization. Another thing that you must also take note is always there must be a plan in order to move forward. There must be a plan in order for you to move forward. Things will not just happen. You wake up that you want to get as many members or people as possible to be members of your congregation. It will not just happen. You need to plan towards it. So there must be a plan if you want to move forward. If you want to achieve your objective, there must always be a plan. That is why we are called, or you are called as leaders. You are called to lead. You are called to make sure that these plans are in place. Sometimes you hear people saying, I am called to minister a church. I am called to lead a church. Sometimes it sounds so very simple, but it becomes so difficult if you don't understand how to go about carrying out ministry or how to lead a church. So there is the need for you to understand what ministry is all about, what leadership is all about, how you are able to lead a church. You need to understand. But without this understanding, it becomes so difficult. Even though when you hear you are called or someone is called to minister or lead a church, it sounds so very simple, but without understanding what it entails, the whole task or duty becomes very difficult. I hope you are with me. Yes.
Yes, please.
Another truth that you also need to consider is that church leaders do not function in isolation. Church leaders do, even though you have been called to lead a church, to minister a church, to serve as a catechist, to serve as a minister, you need to understand that you are not going to work or function in isolation. You are going to work with people. You, as a leader, you are surrounded by committees, surrounded by council, surrounded by staff members. Let us look at this from this perspective, let's take it that you have been called to be a leader, a catechist, or a minister in a particular congregation in one of the districts of the presbytery. What are the committees that you think you will be working with? You are called to. Yes.
I didn't get the question.
Yeah, the question is, let us consider this, imagining after this program, you have been called or you are asked to be catechist in a particular congregation in, let's say, Washington, D.C. district. What are some of the committees that you are likely to work with as you take up your position in that congregation? Because we've just heard that you are not going to function in isolation.
The finance committee.
The finance committee.
Church life and nurture.
Church life and nurture.
Evangelism.
Evangelism. What about individual? Can you mention some individuals? I'm not so interested in names, but you know, the positions that they are holding in that particular congregation.
The senior presbyter.
You are going to work with the senior presbyter.
The clerk.
The clerk. Good. So you need to get this. You are not going to work or function in isolation. You are surrounded by individuals, committees, and there is the need for you to work with them. What about when you went there, you took up the position, these committees are not there? What are you supposed to do?
You form them.
You need to
form them.
You need to form them, because the work of the church is carried out efficiently when you as a leader, you have in place committees, you have in place people to work with, because you cannot do it alone, as we got to know in our previous lesson. So it is very important you take note of all these things. Having noted all these things, there are some dynamics of administration, because from the time of old to this time, people, managers or administrators or supervisors have been concerned with getting the job done. That has always been on the minds of administrators, the minds of leaders, the minds of supervisors, getting the job done. What are the processes that are involved in getting the job done? What are the processes? So we get to know that we need to take note of some modern processes of administration. Some modern processes of administration. There are certain things that you cannot ignore. There are things like planning, organizing, leading, and controlling or evaluating. You need to plan. You need to see to organizing things. You need to lead. You need to control or evaluate. So this becomes your duty, making sure that all these things are done. Because without this, getting to a level where you realize that you've been able to achieve your objective will not be possible. Because I've already said things will not just happen. You need to take conscious effort, ensuring that things are done. So, planning, organizing, leading, and controlling or evaluating, they are very important processes of administration. A leader who wants to succeed, a minister who wants to succeed, you cannot ignore these things because things will not just happen. You need to factor all these processes. But before we take them one after the other, there is one important thing that you need to clearly define, state, or establish before you even think of the planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Who can tell me, please? You need it before you will be able to plan well, before you will be able to organize well, before you will be able to lead and also control.
Could it be our mission? Statement or mission?
Can you say it again, please?
Our mission statement.
Yes. And thank you so much. Yes, you need to clearly define your mission.
Maybe your objectives or purpose.
Your purpose. Yes. In that case, or in this case, what is the mission of an organization, say a church? If we are saying the mission of an organization, the mission of the church, what are we referring to?
Papa, I think before you do anything, I think the church also have a constitution. And as a catechist too, you must know your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not all that decision you have to take yourself. Some of the decisions have to come to you. And you have to make sure it is being implemented. So what I can say, before anything, first you have to consider the church constitution before you start.
Good. It's good. But yes, you cannot do things outside the constitution in most cases. But you also need your mission, as you rightly said, your purpose. So generally speaking, when we talk about the mission of a church, of an organization, what are we looking at here?
Is the growth.
Papa, what the church is about?
What the church is about.
What the goals? No, not the goals.
What the church is about, yes. And I thank you very much.
Maybe your central idea about how you want a church to become, or you want a church to go, the central idea of your church administration, your central idea.
Your central idea, okay. Any other view? when we say mission statement, the mission, of a church?
Let's say the assignment of the church. I'm like,
Your target.
Your target. Yes. Any other? I want to hear at least two from you before we move on. How do you know that the Presbyterian Church of Ghana has a mission statement?
Yeah.
But look at it generally before probably we look at some of this.
Christ-centered and
We are looking at generally when we
Okay.
say just the mission.
The vision is the growth of the church, how to reach more people. Yeah, how we can get out there and reach out to more people so that we can get more people to get the church money.
Good. Well, thank you very much. Since we are looking at church administration and management, I want us to, limit ourselves to the general mission of the church. When you read St. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 28, verse 18 to 20. What do we have there?
we should go to the world.
We should go on the
St. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 28, verse 18 through 20.
Yeah. We should go and make disciples.
Mhm.
Please, can we read, or you want us
Yes,
to please?
I want you to read. Yeah.
Okay. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the ends of the world. Amen.
Amen. So every church must have a clearly defined mission. What the church is about. Every church must have a clearly defined mission. Without defining your mission, knowing what you are about, how can you plan very well? How can you organize? How can you lead? How can you control? Check that you are on course to do what you want to do or you are supposed to do as a church. So here we also see vision also comes in. Vision comes in here. Where do you want to reach in future? Where do you want to reach tomorrow? This is what you are about. But what is the picture? That picture, mine. Where you want to reach tomorrow, where you want to reach next month, where you want to reach. Having done all that is necessary, needed, because of what you are about, where do you want to reach? So that one becomes the vision, that picture that you have in mind. So mission, vision, and purpose. In most cases, you see people often using them, simultaneously. But there is, in fact, some differences as church leadership considers its responsibility to doing what the church is about. So here, before we move on, what do you see to be the difference between the mission of a church and the purpose of a church? The purpose of a church and the mission of a church.
The purpose of the church is for the church to, how can I say, the church, the achievement, the church trying to achieve something for itself. But I think for the mission is general. That one is universal. That is a command given, and every church have to meet it. Yeah, but purposes, I can say the church have its plans or its goals which we need to achieve. That is all I can say. But I think the mission is universal. That one is general. It's for every church. That is our mission. Every church or every Christian, our mission is to go out there and make disciples.
Okay. Yes.
I think in general, purposes are what you want to achieve as a church, and the mission is how you accomplish it, the process that you use in accomplishing your purposes, basically.
Okay.
And also, maybe taking a clue from the Presbyterian Church, which is our church, I think our purpose statement actually is in three dimensions. It involves the mission, it involves the vision, and it involves the core values that they come together to form the purpose statement of the church. So I'm trying to look at it from that angle, that when we talk of the purpose, it actually encompasses your vision, your mission, and what you want to achieve, how you want to achieve it, all those things coming together. But then you break them into components, and that will define the mission, the vision, and the core values.
Thank you very much. Simply put, a purpose statement explains the church's reason for existence. It explains why the church began and why it's on that journey. I want to take it again. The purpose statement explains the church's reason for existence. It explains why the church organization began and why it is on that journey. That is the purpose. But when you look at the vision, that picture, having achieved all the things that you set before you, the objectives, one day, that vision, that product, final product, what you want to see at the end of the day, that one becomes the vision. So the definitive visualization for accomplishing the mission plays out in the process of administration. You have the vision, that picture. You want to be a self-sustaining church. That is the picture you have. You want to get about 1,000 members in a year's time. That is the vision that you have. I hope it is clear.
Yes, Papa.
Okay. So this thing will inform the administrative processes that we are talking about. The planning, it will inform the planning, how you organize things, how you lead, how you control or evaluate to see that you are on course to achieving these aims and objectives. So let us move on to look at the administrative planning, which is, of course, a principal function of modern processes of administration.
Sorry, Papa, but just one quick question, maybe before
Yes.
Yes, but looking at the purpose statement, as you've explained to us, that like it explains the reason for the church's existence, and then we are looking at the vision, which talks about what you want to see, perhaps at the end of the day. So, can we say the vision is like the short-term goals of the church, or something? Can we liken it to like its short-term expectations?
The vision here, what you want to see at the end of the day, the picture that you have in mind. For instance, the vision of the church, for instance, PCG, is to be Christ-centered, self-sustaining, and growing church.
Yep.
That is the vision you have, the picture that you have.
Yep.
That is what you are working towards to achieve.
Yes, Papa.
That is the picture you have. So everything that you are doing, be it planning, be it organizing, be it leading, controlling, that is what you are doing to ensure that the church will be self-sustaining, the church will be Christ-centered, the church will be a growing church. I hope it is clear here.
Yes, Papa.
Okay.
Thank
Good.
you, Papa.
You're welcome. So then let us move on to look at the principal functions that we have when we talk about modern processes of administration. We want the church to be Christ-centered, a growing church, a church which is self-sustaining. What are the things that we are going to put in place as managers, as leaders, to ensure that this picture that we have in mind becomes a reality at the end of the day? Planning. When we talk about planning, what comes to mind?
Now you're trying to look at arranging and organizing, or having a forethought, thinking about thing that is before you, and then you begin to arrange yourself for the future.
Good. Thank you. Any other view? Thank you very much. In short, we can say it is the work that we do to predetermine a course of action. Before you can act, the work that you do, because you cannot just stand up and do anything. You need to do some works. Some work must be done before you'll be able to know what to do in terms of action. So simply put, planning is the work we do to predetermine a course of action. In other words, it is the reasoning about how a church or organization will get to where it wants to go. Let us, you want to build a structure, sanctuary. You cannot just go and stand at where you want to build it and you just, begin to lay the blocks and what have you. In most cases, people will ask, where is the plan? Do you have plan? So when we say it predetermines a course of action, we are right to say so. When we say it is the reasoning about how a church or organization will get to where it wants to go, we are right to say so. But we must also remember that it takes time and it involves people. Planning is very, very important. I hope you are with me. Getting
Yes,
to
Papa.
where we want to get to, we need to commit to planning. If you don't spend time to plan, you will regret, because it will reach a point where you will be confused. You wouldn't know what to do. You didn't commit time, resources into determining how your course of action will be. So as leaders, church leaders, it is very, very important we commit to planning. So going through the process of planning, you need to take into consideration some important administrative activities. What are some of the things that you need to consider when planning? Say planning for a church.
But you have to consider the numerical strength. Maybe the number of people you are going to take care of.
Good. Any other view?
The cost involved.
The cost. Mm-hmm. Any other view? For instance, you're going to put up a big sanctuary. You want to plan towards it.
Or in terms of building, you have to consider the geographical location.
Okay. For instance, if it's a building of a sanctuary, you need to consider all these things. Yeah. Good. Some activities that you need to consider, you need to do some estimation of the future. You need to establish objectives. You need to develop policies. Proceed. How is this going to be done? How am I going to implement the procedure? What are the programs that I'm going to put in place to ensure that? You need to do scheduling. The first month, second month, third month, what am I going to do? And as our brother very much said, the cost, or yes, budgeting. So all these things, when you put them together, When you consider all these things, then we will see that, yes, you are committing to some sort of good planning towards achieving your aims and objectives, because things will not just happen without committing to these activities or administrative activities. So it's important you do planning. I want one of you to read St. Luke's Gospel, chapter 14, verse 28 to 30. Let us hear what the good book says about planning here.
Look.
Reading Luke chapter 14, 14 verse 28 to 30. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Wouldn't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, "This person began to build and wasn't able to finish." Amen.
Amen. So we go back to our example here. This is, telling us planning is very important. You want to go and build a sanctuary, a big one, of course. Then you just go and stand on the place where you want to, and you just begin to. You've not factored in budgeting the cost, how long it's going to take you. The procedure. Then you just go and stand there that you are building. Maybe by the time you finish the foundation, you realize that you don't have money, you will not be able to, because the resources, you don't have it. So planning is very, very important. As leaders, there is the need for us to plan, taking into consideration all these administrative activities. The time that you spend on planning is not time wasted. If you're able to plan and plan well, it will help you. You will never regret you spent some time to do it. I hope it is clear.
Yeah.
Yes, Papa.
Good. Then let's move on to organizing, because we are looking at the administrative functions, which are very, very important. We have looked at planning. Let's move on to organizing. Organizing. It is basically about looking at people that you have, the resources you have, people, grouping them, looking at the available resources so the work can be performed very well. Nipa ahe na mewo, resources ahe na mewo. Na me grupu nipa no na ye timidi we aye ni nyina. You are organizing. That's administrative organizing. Because you want to see that the work is performed very well. So as planning takes place, the organization to accomplish the plan must be foremost in the mind of the leader or the administrator. I hope you are with me.
Yes, please, Papa.
Bravo planning in now how to organize things in so now what we say leader no say administrator no. If say we planning in how to organize things no so anymore, you will not be able to achieve your objective. So organizing is also very important. If you want to see that you have good organization or organizing things, then you also need a organizational structure. There must be something to guide you. There must be a framework within which this organizing activity will be performed very well. So in this case, what is this kind of structure we are talking about? Organizational structure. The church must have organizational structure, because we know that things are not going to happen without committing to planning, without organizing. And if we want to see that the organizing is going on well, there must be organizational structure. What is the organizational structure of a company? Or let's limit ourselves to a church. What's the organizational structure? Yɛnhwɛ companies ahodoɔ nyinaa, because deɛ mokyerɛ berɛ me no mo ka sɛ yɛhwɛ sɛ yɛlidi yɛ administrators ne ade, yɛnhwɛ no sɛ te sɛ organization na yɛyɛ nneɛma bi saa na atumi aboa. Nti sɛ yɛka organizational structure na sɛn na ɛteɛ framework no. Sɛ waka bi koraa.
Yeah. But I think organizational structure basically look at the hierarchies in the organization, maybe from the top to the bottom, or how information should be disseminated. From this, you can't jump this one, making sure you follow the due protocol in that organization to ensure smooth running.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you. Any other view?
Yeah, Papa.
Yes.
Please, is the structure? I mean, I think it's the structure that you follow to achieve your purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which will help you,
like the coordinating, the supervising and stuff, like the way you coordinate, the way you supervise to achieve the purpose.
Okay, good. Thank you, Nana. One more point view, then we move on. Well, it is the framework to getting job done in the church or organization. It helps us when it comes to relating people's role one another, so that you need people to work. Who is doing this? Who is doing that? What is the framework? It helps also to create an environment for human performance. Just imagine you have about 100 people that you need for a work to be done. Then you send these 100 people there without having a clear structure, framework. People wouldn't know what to do, who to report to, how they are going to relate to one another when it comes to performing their work to ensure that the objective, the general objective of the company or the church is achieved. So organizational structure is very, very important if we want to organize very well. But generally, when you go to every church, say Presbyterian Church of Ghana, the organizational structure that we have, it is being influenced by the general philosophy of the church. The kind of structure that a church will have, or a church will develop, a church will use. When you look at it well, you kind of get to know the general philosophy of the church, what the church is about, what the church wants to do. Based on this, the church is able to design a structure, a framework that will define roles, that will relate people who are working in the church, who reports to who, so that things could be organized very well to ensure that the church works progressively towards achieving its objectives. I hope it is clear.
Yes, Papa.
But you say Bibia entiasi wo mu ha.
Yes, please, Papa.
That's you, like for
But you say yes. Enti ebi kura na wenti ebi assignment bi baba ne ya draw organizational structure no senia etie e communication. And yeah, so let's move on. So here I want us to, looking at the structure here, I want us to look at delegation, but we wouldn't spend much time here because we talked about it when we were warming ourselves up into the whole course. You remember what we read from Exodus 18? You remember?
Yes, Papa.
Jethro's advice.
Jethro and Moses.
So delegation here, with that, who can just give us just a sentence to define delegation? Because the work, we can't do it alone. We need to delegate. Say dear Jumano Emma Afufro, assigning of things or work ask to individuals. And when we read Jethro's advice, we saw that assigning responsibility to individuals according to their ability or capability. Then we grant them, we give them authority. You give them authority to accomplish the assigned tasks. One money be not one man nientia. Bibi a nyina so bi a ogina so etimi eye bibi. Eno nti so okase obi nsusu nye we a nipa no nso betie na waye na aboa. When we give work to people to do we just leave them or we hold them accountable for completion of the assigned task? I want to hear from you. Do we go to sleep?
No, Baba.
No.
What do we do? Yes.
You supervise.
We monitor, yes. Good. It's important we don't go to sleep. We monitor, we supervise, because we want to ensure that the work is done and done well. This leads us to another important function. I think this will be our last. God willing, we will take care of the last one, which is the administrative controlling or evaluation. But I want us to quickly look at the administrative leading. I will send some things to you, okay? I'll send some things to you in forms of other things.
About the notes?
Yes. Do you need it? Hope
Yes.
you need it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I have it for you. So
Thank you.
I just want you to understand first some of these things. Okay. Administrative leading. You as a leader, you need to direct, you need to lead. It is the work that you will do to inspire, to motivate people so that they will be able to take specific actions. As a leader, this leading role, administrative leading, you must inspire people. Those you are leading, you must motivate them. You've given them work to do. You've told them what to do. What are you doing to inspire them? What are you doing to motivate them? You need to direct them, lead them. That's why you are the leader. I hope it is clear here.
Yes, Papa.
Papa, the motivation is what are you going to do to? Is it in kind or?
Yes, you see, it's not always about cash. Even the environment that you create for people to work and function, if it is good, it motivates people to come out with their best. How even you will talk to people, it even motivates them to give their best. How you even provide the things that they need to work with. It's a motivation. That's not to say you need to close your eyes on the remuneration and all those things. But all these things too. Some people, what motivates them is when they go to that working place and they realize that the environment is conducive for work. They have what they need to work with. How you talk to them as a leader is very important. But it has 5 basic activities. That's the function of leading. Decision making. Yes. How you communicate. You communicate. Motivating the people. Leading, you must also be concerned about selecting people and also training or developing them for the task. It's important you take note of all this. My dear ones, looking at the time, this is where we will bring our lesson for the day to an end. I'm going to send you some things, some notes, some pieces of, because I wanted you to, when you understand it, the whole idea, the whole concept, when you take it and you're reading, you get everything. Any questions so far up to this point? Good.
So
Well,
Papa, let me ask you a question.
yes.
In case maybe you've been transferred to a place, a village or somewhere, and then you have the plan, and then the people that supposed to maybe the people that you may need to accomplish your vision are not there. What do you advise?
Yes. You have the plans, you are new to the
Yeah.
place. Okay?
But maybe you go there and then you see that maybe you need to put in something there. You have everything. You have your plan, that if you get this, everybody will like it. But those that you are going to use are not there. What do you advise?
Good. Well, thank you. I think in the first place, you may go to a place with your own plan and as to how you want to see things done. But you don't have to forget that before you got there, they were also having a plan. So before you move on, you need to sit down, assess what is going on. What were, the things that they were doing, okay? Then you sit down and you see, because definitely you have some plans that you want to implement. But don't forget that before you got there, they were not having any plan. Don't forget. You have your plan you are bringing on board. So you make sure that you look at it and also you see how you can also implement the new thing that you have brought. But yes, it won't happen that all the time you will get people to help support who you may need to carry out. That is why we talked about training or developing people. It is a leading, it's one of the administrative functions of leading. So once you get there, you realize that I will need this, that, and it's not there. As a leader, the time that you will spend to train, to develop, it will not be a time wasted, because once you begin, you plan, you train, you develop people, you share your ideas with them, you sharpen, for lack of better word, you will see that you will get people who will be ready to support and also move along with you, carrying out the plan. But remember, don't take it that before you got there, the church was not having a plan. That's not to say you don't have to bring on board your new one, but you need to sit down and see how you are going to, carry out your new plan, not forgetting that they also had a plan before you came in. Okay? This is very important. You take note of this.
Yeah, Papa. Look, I get what you are saying, but before you go there, maybe the session is there, and then as soon as you bring your plan, that maybe this is what you want to do. How do you Papa? So what? This is where I'm coming from. You see,
Yes.
because the people that you are going to meet there, they have that strong that this thing will never work. So what do you do?
Minianum, being a manager, being an administrator, and to boisier, and abotere na nia wopese woye no ubetime aye. Bi wo kra na bia de wo ka no plan new way no bia na nipa ni nyanti ase yie sa. So when you spend time, na unya sa adwen no say communicating your new plan ideas very well, ewo odo kwan so any abotere kwan so. Nipa no beti aseɛ na wɔn watimi ebi kura ɔbɛka so ɔyɛfo bi a na yɛnte deɛ na wɔka na sesa afei na yɛate aseɛ. And you need to also remember say ɛnyɛ da koro no a wode to kɔ no ɛna obiara bɛte aseɛ sɛ ɔne wo nyinaa ɛrekɔ ayɛ ne saa. Na mmom no ɛyɛ ntoboaseɛ ne nkyirikyirimu na ntiaseɛ na watimi approve nie ntia yɛyɛ ne saa ɛbɛyɛ yie. Nie mpo ɔka sɛ bi a ha deɛ yɛnyɛ ne saa no he will come along with you. But sɛ wofa ne sɛ no at all costs na ɛhɔ no na ayɛ a ɛde nsɛm bebree ba. Nti ɛyɛ abotere. You need to be a man of patience. Wobɛnya abotere ɛne ɔdɔ. Na watimi akyerɛkyerɛ mu yie. Na nea ɔnte aseɛ kora no but uma adwene ne yɛ sɛ ebi a pani wei maame wei deɛ ɔse kyenkyea ne dabi ɛnyɛ yie saa. Na mmom no ntoboaseɛ ɔdɔ kwan so nkyerɛkyerɛ mu new ideas no onyame ahoɔden mu ntiaseɛ ba mu betumi ayɛ. Na ɛha deɛ yɛyɛ no sɛ ɛnyɛ yie no ɛma no nso mmɔ wo hu nya abotere na mo nkyerɛkyerɛ mu na mo nyɛ ebetumi ayɛ yie.
Thank you, Papa.
Good. This is where we will bring these lessons to an end. And I must thank you so much. I always enjoy my time with you. And I'm going to send you some things covering what we did so that you can also put it down as a form. Today, no assignment. I'm not giving you assignment today. Maybe when we meet next week. Good. But on here, one kasa nekra